My husband, 68, and I, 65 female, have 3 children: 38 male Steve, 37 male Ryan, and 35 male Owen. My husband was a standout athlete and went to college on a scholarship to play football. Steve and Owen were also very athletically gifted and spent a lot of time with their dad playing sports. Ryan was into debate club and drama club. Unfortunately, my husband spent most of his time with them and regularly excluded Ryan. When Ryan was 14, he commented to me that he probably wouldn't join any clubs in high school since his dad wouldn't be proud of him since it wasn't sports. My husband overheard and was annoyed by that statement, so he spent some one-on-one time with him for 3 months. But once sports season started, that time came to an end. He did end up joining the speech and debate club, and my husband attended a handful of meets. When he made state, he was ecstatic. We invited both families, and I told my husband he'd better be there with our 2 sons. They showed up but left to tour the college campus halfway through because the tournament was boring. They ended up missing our son present. Ryan was devastated and told me that when he graduated, he was moving away for college and not coming back. He went to college out west and joined their forensics and debate team and won a national championship. I attended, but his dad chose to take Steve and Owen to a hockey game instead. Ryan ended up in law school and is now a junior partner at a firm. He got married a few years ago and just gave us our first grandchild last year. Our son allowed us to meet our grandson, but then told us that he doesn't plan to move back, ever, or visit our hometown anytime soon, because he doesn't want any of his kids around my husband and his brothers because of the favoritism. My husband was livid and told Ryan it was time for him to grow up and stop blaming him for his issues. My husband is now angry because he feels like Ryan is being petty and stubborn and ridiculous. I finally had enough of his whining and told him that I had warned him about his exclusion of Ryan and blatant favoritism for his brothers over him, and that I have no sympathy for him now that Ryan has decided to cut him out. I told him he needs to go to therapy and work this out and his issues there. I've been out west 3 times since without my husband because he feels Ryan is being ridiculous, and he's still angry at me for supporting Ryan and not defending him when he said he showed favoritism. He used our other sons to try and guilt me into talking to Ryan about being immature and causing a rift. But I said I don't feel like it's my job to defend something I warned him about years ago. They told me that I was being overdramatic, and now they see where Ryan got it from. I told them they were allowed their opinion, but I was no longer hosting family holidays, and they could fend for themselves from then on. So I went out west over Easter and spent it with Ryan and his family. My husband claims I'm showing favoritism now and that I'm an idiot. So am I? Not the idiot. Good for you to acknowledge your husband's favoritism and not ignore your other son. He's successful and doesn't need your husband's approval. You should be proud that your son has the courage to stand up to his father. Stay the course. Don't lose your son to make your idiot husband happy. Husband is clearly still showing favoritism and refuses to learn from mistakes. So now he's losing opportunities with Ryan and grandkids at his own fault. Instead of manning up, guys like him seem to have small man issues. So he doubled down and called in his favoritism and got the favorite sons to gang up on you, which eventually pushed you away from Ryan, who's treating you fairly. Saying you are playing favorites is a joke and pathetic, since you're not giving Ryan anything like how he does with the other sons. As you say, you warned your husband repeatedly about his blatant favoritism, and now he's reaping the consequences. And he's downplaying the seriousness of his actions. I don't blame you one bit. I'm going with everyone's the idiot here. You were right, but now you're, based on your description, showing favorites against your husband and other sides. Perhaps rightfully so, but that may bite when your other sons have kids. Continue your visits to Ryan and his family without your husband, but spend time with your other children as well. If they complain about Ryan, shut them down and tell them you won't discuss it. Your husband's relationship and your son's with Ryan is their burden. Don't feel like you need to make up for that abandonment. I, 27 female, am engaged to Polly, female. My orientation affected my relationship with my parents, and it took me more than a decade for them to accept it. I came out at age 12, and since then my brother Ali, 23, has become my parents' golden child. Unfortunately, it made my relationship with Ali a little salty. My wedding party was this weekend. My parents and Ali went. It was a very welcoming environment with a lot of LGBT people. The night was wonderful, the way I always dreamed of, warm and loving. I noticed a commotion at my parents' table and I went to check on it. Ali took advantage of the moment to come out, nothing new. I had doubted his orientation since he was a child, but it wasn't up to me to expose it. My dad got mad when I wasn't surprised and accused me of hiding that kind of thing. In addition to making comments about being disgusted with his children being two fruities, almost everyone at the party was listening. I made all three of them angry. I told my parents, "You can't for a single night swallow your damn prejudice." And for Ali, of all times, you knew that it took them a decade to accept me back. Couldn't you choose any other day? I don't care about you being gay. You have to be whoever you want to be, but why today? My fiance interceded, and after my tantrum, my parents left, and so did Ali. I admit it wasn't my best reaction, but I just wish one day it wasn't back to my brother or my parents weren't prejudiced. It felt like the nightmare of my adolescence had all returned, and again I was embarrassed by my parents and upstaged by my brother. My parents aren't talking to me, and I honestly don't feel like it, but I know my brother is saying that I was phobic and destroyed his moment of coming out. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, OP. This is giving me I'm going to propose at my sibling/friend's wedding vibes. Ali can be who he wants, but this was not the time or place to come out. It just screams drama. I'm wondering if Ali thought that the parents would be less likely to cause a scene at the wedding. That's a fair assessment. I'm sure that the environment was probably one he saw as more expecting. But again, you're right. If he had any understanding of social norms at all, he would have known better. I hate to say it, but your parents really sound awful. I think you should just move on. Enjoy your happiness with your fiance. Forget about your parents and ask for an apology from your brother. Yeah, I feel rather sorry for Ali. On the other hand, he's known since he was young that his parents would reject him if he was gay. So realizing his orientation must have been terrifying. So I can see why he thought this was a good idea, even though it was clearly an awful one. Your brother is calling you, an openly lesbian woman who is married to another lesbian woman, phobic? I'm not even sure how to answer because your brother's pure stupidity so takes me back. Ali had no business coming out at your wedding. He also would have had no business announcing his acceptance into a prestigious university, his own betrothal, or winning the lottery. It's not what he announced. It's that he made any significant disclosure. The only way Ali would not be in the wrong if it was something he blurted out because your parents were spouting phobic nonsense and he just snapped. But he'd still have to be deeply sorry about creating drama at your wedding, and he's not sorry. Congratulations on your marriage. I wish you long years, great joy, and small troubles. My wife, 30 female, and I, 29 male, have a little girl, pre-tween, who I'll be calling Anna. Now, Anna has thick, blonde, curly hair that my wife adores. Ever since she was a toddler, she'd spent hours doing her hair every day, braiding it, straightening it, and styling it in all sorts of ways. As a result, our bathroom cabinets are always filled with a bunch of hair lotions, oils, creams, and other fancy products I don't even know the names of. So I think it's more than fair to say that my wife's obsessed with the whole hair thing. Anna, however, has never been too fond of getting her hair done or of anything that involves having to sit still for more than a few minutes. Before she got it cut, her hair used to reach past her waist, and while it looked lovely, she hated getting it brushed, and every morning used to be a screaming fest between her and my wife. Lately, she's been begging for a shorter haircut. My wife ignored her whenever the topic was brought up in hopes that she'd forget about it, but none of that happened. I think Anna realized she was getting nowhere with her mom because she started asking me to take her instead. I was reluctant to at first because I didn't know how my wife would react, but I agreed when I saw just how excited the kid was over something as simple as a haircut. So yesterday, I drove her to the hairdresser where she got to flip through many magazines and pick a picture of a haircut. And when she chose a short clipper cut, I knew I would be in deep trouble with my wife. At that point, though, there was no turning back. I mean, what could I have really done? Tell her that no, she can't get the haircut that she was so over the moon about? All because her mom wouldn't like it? I couldn't do that. So we went ahead with the haircut, and by the end of it, Anna couldn't stop smiling. She went around the salon showing it off to everyone, and even asked me to take a bunch of pictures, even though she usually hates having pictures taken of her. We did get one rude comment from an older woman at the salon, something along the lines of, "You can't even tell if she's a boy or a girl now." But Anna was way too excited about her hair to notice, and if she did notice, she didn't care. When my wife got home from work that day, things quickly took a turn for the worse. She refused to look at Anna, locked herself in her room, cried, got in the car, and drove off. It's been a day now, and she's still not back. It's honestly starting to worry me. I knew she wouldn't react well to the haircut, but I wasn't expecting her to take it this badly. The kid's upset too, and no matter how much I reassure her, she still thinks she's in trouble for getting her hair cut. Am I the idiot? I realize how attached my wife was to Anna's hair, but I still think it's just hair at the end of the day. The kid's old enough to decide these things for herself, and she was happy with the haircut, so I don't think I did something wrong here. Not the idiot, but crying, locking herself away, and driving off are not normal responses, even for someone really upset. Is something else going on with your wife? There's a whole boatload of concerning behaviors here that seriously need to be dealt with. But right now, you need to make sure that Anna knows that she did the right thing. Her hair is beautiful, and none of this is her fault or responsibility. Your wife needs to see her daughter as more than a head of hair. Besides being messed up, exercising control over your kids' bodies also just never goes well for anyone. Mom is essentially removing any bodily autonomy for this poor girl, and she'll probably grow up to resent her. It seems like she's already started. You are the idiot, but not for letting the kid have a haircut she wanted. That part is fine. For not taking the time and effort to sit down with your wife first and talk it out. Try and see why she was so attached to the hair. Try and get her to see that it's really the kid's call. Look for a solution, because this has to be about more than just hair. That is not a normal reaction to a child getting a haircut, no matter how much you dislike it. Do you really believe there's a scenario in which a conversation here will magically work wonders with someone who acts this crazy over her daughter's hair? Your wife sees the daughter as a trophy child, something she can show off. OP, this is probably the time for your wife to learn that Anna is her own person and has her own preferences. So please don't stop advocating for your daughter. My wife Haley, 29, and I, 29 male, were very close growing up. We lived next door and spent the majority of our time together. Our parents were hoping we would end up together. We went separate ways in college and started dating after graduation. I proposed to her, and we got married last year. Haley and my sister Jess, 32, do not get along. Jess went out with my wife's brother, and things turned ugly. It's caused a lot of stress between the families. Jess and I aren't close, but are friendly when we see each other. Sister Jess is now happily married and lives in another state. Haley and I have been trying for the past couple of months to get pregnant. 2 weeks ago, we received the distressing news that she had lost it. It has taken a huge toll on her, and I've been doing everything to be supportive. Friends and family have been great as well. We went back to my parents' house for dinner. Jess kept asking my wife questions about the loss, and I told Jess to back off. When it came time to eat, Jess had a huge smile on her face and announced the pregnancy. Her husband looked shocked and got up from the table. Haley started crying and excused herself. This is where I might have been the idiot. I look at my sister and start yelling at her for everything. She starts screaming at me for being a terrible brother and embarrassing her in front of the family. Our parents get involved, and I go to comfort Haley. We left and I haven't spoken to her. Our parents want us to work things out for the family's sake. Am I the idiot for my reaction when my sister announced her pregnancy? Not the idiot. She has the right to announce her pregnancy and be happy for herself. But the fact that she deliberately kept asking invasive questions about your wife's loss and then chose to announce it in front of her is vindictive. Pregnancy loss is excruciating for couples, and she decided to exploit that. I wouldn't speak to her until she apologized, and even then, I don't know if I'd want her in my life. OP, there's something wrong with your sister. Her actions were twisted at best. I would probably text her, I hope that you never know what it's like to lose a child, but your behavior has shown me a side of you I'm ashamed of. You took joy in hurting two people who were already hurting, and that's something you can never take back. Our relationship will never be the same, and I need time away from you to decide if we'll ever have a relationship again. Until then, I'll be blocking you on everything. Your sister is a real piece of work. I think her actions were cold, calculating, and deliberately cruel. To announce a pregnancy after quizzing your wife is deplorable. I don't think Jess is interested in working things out. Your parents want things to work out between you both, but that doesn't mean that you have to do it. Jess is a hurtful presence in your lives. I honestly wonder if Jess is just dumb or socially awkward. Bear with me while I explain. Pregnant women often have a ton of anxiety. She may have selfishly asked questions about the loss out of genuine concern over her own early pregnancy. She was either incredibly cruel and vindictive or self-absorbed and oblivious to what she was doing. Neither are good, but the latter is less intentional. My brother is getting married to his fiancée in a month. After a request from my future sister-in-law, we've just been informed that my mom and my brother won't have a mother-son dance at their wedding. The reason? My future sister-in-law hates my mother. She's actually jealous of her and the bond she has with my brother. She's basically pulled them apart, and my brother barely speaks with my mom anymore. She'll have a dance with her dad, but my mom won't have a dance with her own son because my sister-in-law decided that. I told my brother how absurd that is, and he says that it's a choice they mutually made, and we have to respect it. But I'm not buying that. My mom has been crying all week long about how she won't dance with her son at the wedding and feels she's losing her son to my sister-in-law. Not being able to continue seeing my mom like that, I called both of them and started cursing them out about how ashamed they should be and how we were his family, his sister, and his mom. We were here before, and now he just brushed us aside. Our relatives told me I'm the idiot for trying to intervene in their wedding choices like that, but I'm not sure. Been to 20 weddings and never seen a mother and son dance, but I've been to 20 weddings and seen a mother dance with their son 20 times. Your mom doesn't need the spotlight to dance with her son on his wedding day. You are the idiot for going on the offensive route. OP is the idiot. Mother-in-law is using guilt and manipulation to get what she wants. OP is a flying monkey. I'm guessing that OP and family are not exactly the best, and the brother's using this occasion to set some boundaries. No wonder they don't want a mother-son dance. OP, how do you know that it's your sister-in-law pushing your mom away and not resulting from anything your mom has done? I gotta say, it's not usually the bride that's jealous of the relationship between her fiancé and his mom, but the other way around. You are the idiot. A father-daughter dance is traditional. A mother-son dance isn't. And the fact that a grown woman has cried for a week over it is incredibly manipulative and just a bit pathetic. In all honesty, it sounds like your brother has distanced himself for a reason. You'll find yourself in that position if you don't try and understand why.